Hello everybody. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Arun, one of the co-founders, the driving force behind Machine Maze Integration Services. As one of the early adopters of MaaS, which is manufacturing as a service, they have revolutionized the way business approach production, make it by making it more scalable, agile and efficient. With over 5.5 million parts shipped across continents, they have proven that MaaS isn't the future but the present. It's indeed an honor to have a talk with Mr. Arun. So, hi Arun. What challenges in the manufacturing industry led to the creation of this platform?
So I really like it that you started by saying MaaS is the present, and I think we're already seeing good signs of that. So if you look at the Indian manufacturing ecosystem today, we are perhaps a million plus manufacturing SMEs in specific areas of manufacturing. Um, so India is essentially a powerhouse of manufacturing, right? A lot of potential to exports. Um, how do we then garner this capacity? How do we then kind of utilize the capacity present with our vendors today, and also equip them to be capable for the next phase of growth that's coming in to India, right? So that's this layer essentially has a few white spaces in terms of unsolved problems, and that's exactly what we are trying to solve today at Machine Maze. We've been fairly successful at doing that. But essentially, it's a way of connecting the Indian manufacturing ecosystem, namely comprising of the tier 2 and tier 3 manufacturers or partners, as we call them, to both North American as well as European markets, and hopefully to the rest of the world tomorrow.
So, how does Machine Maze help reduce time to market their products?
Manufacturing velocity is essentially a problem everybody is trying to solve. So if you look at the ecosystem today, I've been with manufacturing organizations throughout building products. There's a lot of investment that goes into increasing the velocity of the engineering life cycle. They have rapid prototyping today. They have all sorts of 3D CAD tools available. Analysis today has gone from experimental to theoretical. So you have a lot of analysis tools available online that OEMs and companies are using. Essentially, millions and millions of dollars kind of spent in accelerating the time to design of products. But once the product is out of that, and when you essentially have to go out to make those products, there's very little digital assistance available for you today to accelerate that process. There are tools, there are ERP tools available in the market that essentially you use to kind of improve your internal processes. But what happens when a part goes to the market outside? Is there intelligence on who's going to make what for you at the right quality and the right price? So these are all challenges, right? So typically OEMs spend a lot of time and money coming into a different market, an international market, and identifying vendors to do their job or partners to do their job. Now with us having an intelligent platform that's connecting all these bells and whistles together, all these moving parts and functions together, the speed at which these RFQs are traveling through the entire life cycle of manufacturing and essentially what we call print to part is very unprecedented. So for a majority of our customers, I would say there's a good 3 to 4x improvement in velocity in taking products to market. And we have live cases that we are operating today where we are able to go in from single components to full scale assemblies in literally weeks. And that's ideally how we are assisting our customers to improve their time to market. And our spectrum covers right from startups to perhaps $1 billion plus OEMs. And the solution is being set up to scale at this point of time. So the velocity is going to improve, quality is going to improve, and our ability to take our customers' products from print to part is also going to improve.
So, how do you ensure quality in time and delivery to your customers?
It's a very, very interesting question, right? So, as Machine Maze, we are not just keeping ourselves or positioning ourselves as supply chain partners. That's not what we do. We don't buy and sell stuff. We don't trade stuff. We have a very, very strong engineering layer. I mean, my background is that I I spent enough time designing new products and taking them to the market with Honeywell and Stanley Black and Decker. It stems from that experience where we want Machine Maze to be a core engineering focused organization. So the first steps of assistance that we provide to our partners, not just in terms of accessing RFQs, but on how to build these parts. So we have in-house expertise in all forms of 3D CAD processes. We do analysis, both thermal as well as finite element analysis when needed to build these products for our partners. We do the entire manufacturing process mapping that is needed, and we do drawing breakdown analysis to actually kind of support production-based processes, right? So there's a lot of engineering handholding, and mind you, these are expensive tools that SMEs can't afford to use, right? So we do everything that's needed in terms of bringing the intelligence to take the product onto the machine and get the G code and encode or anything that's needed ready to do it. That's the first step, and that's a big step in terms of hand holding, right? Additional hand holding comes in the form of us supplying raw materials for manufacturing projects that we take up, because working capital is one of the biggest challenges for our SME partners out there, right? That's something that we provide assistance with, and everything that we have executed with these partners go through a very strong program and project management cadence within the organization and in the portal. All of these ingredients put together with the core expertise that the partner is bringing in actually ensures project success, both in adherence to timeline, in adherence to quality, and in adherence to deliverables.
So, yeah, while we were talking, since you mentioned about your background and you working in Honeywell and Stanley, so I would love to know more about like what you were doing previously. And since there is too much knowledge on manufacturing, what led you to create Machine Maze?
Well, that's a good question, Jitendra. So, this is not my first startup. So, post my degree in manufacturing in masters, I did actually dab with a startup at the Indian Institute of Science where we built a lot of high-grade photonic products. Post which I was an engineering leader at Stanley Black and Decker. I spent over 8.5 years designing and building subsea welding systems and automatic welding system and robotic systems and so on. So that's where the experience in terms of engineering design and capabilities come in. And the leaders at the organization were kind enough to let us explore taking these products to the market, right? And that's where the endeavor of actually how do you put these things together? Is the Indian market actually equipped to build complex products with high IP value? These are not rudimentary components that you're putting together, right? These are actual large scale assemblies and sub assemblies with a lot of inherent IP value in them. So there's a lot of experience of having seen and worked with such processes and getting exposed to the gaps in the market today. Also built a lot of similar products and took to the market a lot of products for Honeywell too in my course of journey there. So I feel all of this kind of brought in the experience of first building complex assemblies and products and not just doing the rudimentary stuff, and secondly in terms of witnessing the gaps in the market today that we could actually fill in to enable such manufacturing in India. The dream is to make high IP rich products in India and take them to global markets, and that's ideally where we want to position ourselves.
Looks like you are an actual hardcore mechanical guy because the amount of passion you have put into and the amount of knowledge you have speaks volumes.
Well, it's I did spend a good 16 years doing what we did, and I think right now we have a fantastic team of subject matter experts that we've brought in, um, uh, and as essentially as doing everything else, right? You want to build scalable processes, and I think as an organization also we are at a point where um, it's process over people and passion today. So the organization is set to scale, and I believe we have all the bells and whistles put together to do that. And it's just not me. I think it's a whole set of over 60 passionate engineers in the organization today who are enabling the next phase for us.
What sets Machine Maze apart from other manufacturing solutions?
Again, I want to reiterate, we're not building a supply chain solution. So I think engineering and complexity coupled with the platform and the data that we have collected over the last 3 years of operations is what is essentially setting us apart. Just in terms of building these products for our customers. So we have a razor sharp focus on enabling best in class manufacturing solutions for our OEMs, and I feel we are very, very well equipped both in the engineering, in production, in data that is present with us, and in our ability to execute these projects for our OEMs in a manner in which their IP is super well protected.
So I see there is a lot of data involved in this. How do you ensure that you provide data security to your customers?
Um, Again, a very, very good question, right? Um, the platform that has been built is GDPR compliant, and this is something that we've been building for the last 3 years, right? So in terms of the entire drawing flow through this ecosystem, in terms of who's accessing the portal, audit trails, it's all airtight, and we are also very, very conscious about how we accept, process, and use data from our customers and where we house this data. The next fairly rudimentary thing is everything that goes into the market for production today from machine maize is going on our templates. So there's no real visibility on whom this IP, core IP related component is being made for. And we also follow this concept of distributed manufacturing. So today we have started to do a lot of final assemblies within machine maize. So not the entire IP of manufacturing and doing these components is going to a single partner source in the ecosystem. So I think we are fairly well set up for IP protection and the data also, and we see that in terms of OEMs today, both in Europe and North America, trusting us, trusting our process to work with us.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned about the global market, right? And machine maize has constantly been shipping parts across many continents.
Correct.
So, what trends in global manufacturing excite you the most right now?
I wouldn't. I think it's also in terms of just in terms of macro trends, right? Um, OEMs across are starting to appreciate MaaS as a concept, and trusting us with the ability to build and deliver. The second important thing is I already mentioned India as a powerhouse, right? There is China plus one in terms of manufacturing, which is happening around in the market today. How do you set up the Indian manufacturing ecosystem to handle that kind of throughput? Some of these jobs in the near future can come in at unprecedented velocity, right? Just in terms of the RFQs coming in. Are we as an ecosystem set up to deliver so much? And I think that trend of a lot of demand coming our way and setting ourselves to fulfill that demand is what kind of gets us the most.
According to you, uh, what are the biggest challenges that the manufacturing industry is facing today?
Um, in India per se, right? I think it is, see, velocity of anything that we do is dependent on our ability to access the right kind of tools to fulfill our demands. This could be extremely rudimentary, like I said before, ability to handle 3D CAD content. Gone are those days when you have a table full of 2D drawings and figure out how to make parts, right? Ability to handle various interchangeable formats in terms of content that's coming in from our customers for manufacturing. So these are layers of engineering challenges. But I also feel our SME partners are masters in terms of fulfilling whatever manufacturing requirement is coming their way, because there's a lot of expertise on how to make these parts, and there's been a lot of experience in that process. So ideally, I think for us, it is about fulfilling or negating the engineering challenge and bringing in a nice project management cadence. At the same time, keeping in mind the IP value for our customers, and try to do some processes in-house to kind of, and today we do mostly assemblies in-house, right? To protect the IP value of our customers and ship right. In my experience over the last 3 years, the areas that we typically struggle and are a little challenging is with export-based logistics. The other challenge is also in terms of engineering value that these SMEs have an ability to understand them, and working capital challenges in the market to fulfill contracts, larger contracts that we are working
Uh, how Machine Maze has been performing since the last 3 years, and how does the future look like?
on. It's actually been a very, very interesting first 3 years for us. Effort in building the core team, and I'm really happy that our core team is in place. Our value alignments are in place in terms of how we want to interact with both our partners and our customers. So all of these things have become very, very clear to us in the last 3 years of experience. And more than anything, the ability to actually deliver 5.5+ million parts has given us vast amount of data. And so today we are making better decisions, we're making faster decisions, we have a team that understands better, we have a market that's appreciating this better. We have, in terms of addressable market for this high quality, complex manufacturing, it's vast, right? We have been over the last 3 years able to tap into both European and North American markets. German markets, for example, are very, very difficult to tap into and work with, right? Simply because of the high expectations and high caliber manufacturing carried out. So, as an organization, we have been able to do all of these things over the last 3 years. And I think we are at that inflection point where, since processes are set up today, we could anticipate tremendous growth over the years to come. And these are signs that I'm personally feeling within the organization as we continue to manufacture parts for our customers day in and day out.
That's nice to hear. I too wish the same. All the best for the future, Arun.
Thank you so much.
That's all I have. So it was indeed an honor to talk to you. It was such an insightful interaction about manufacturing, and even I learned a lot of things about manufacturing today. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jitendra. And I know you've been a core contributor